Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Gray Say There's a Better Way. My name is Zion, and I am the Zion of the Most High God of Israel, which is to say, I'm the prophet foretold in the Old Testament, believe it or not. Now, I have been elected by the Gray to speak on their behalf, to teach the world their way, how they do things, how things are going to evolve once contact is made. Because as the Zion of the Most High God of Israel, it is my responsibility to make first contact with the Gray. Now, I've already been in contact with them literally my entire life. They first came upon me when I was a toddler, between the ages of 2 and 3, due to a tragedy in my life. And they molded me and shaped me through my entire life. And so I have been groomed to be their spokesperson. I have been through the fires of hell and walked through the land of insanity in order to gain knowledge that was lost to humanity through our own primitive mentality. And now that we have matured to the point where we can become what we were intended to be from the start, once it was decided that we would be a unique people. Now, I have been taught to be the example by which others shall follow. That's a tall order. And the stories that I will tell in the halls of Zion will illustrate many, many of the lessons of morality that we must learn in order to evolve into a proper human. Because to this point in our history, we have been Neanderthal. We have just now reintroduced ourselves to our gray anatomy. And that introduction is through THC, which is a chemical that is derived from their ancient homeworld, the seeds of which they brought with them when they came to Earth. The marijuana that we know today is a revitalized version of their original plant from their homeworld. It has been genetically altered and its potency reduced so that we can safely use it. It was reduced almost to the point of non-use during the absence of the gray, allowed to grow wild, intermixed with the hemp, and reduce its potency so that only when we started to manipulate the genetics of the plant through our war on drugs and the legalization of marijuana would we reintroduce a more concentrated strain that would activate more parts of our gray anatomy, allowing us to go from just being high to being telepathic. Now, once you cross the line from being high to being telepathic, the marijuana, the THC, becomes a nutrient. Now, you still get high. It's still a good time. But it alters the function of the marijuana in your body. It feeds your gray anatomy, like food feeds your stomach and your Neanderthal anatomy. The gray gave us their most basic genetic material. And so they used THC as the activating principle. When they left, like I said, they reduced the potency, but now they've reintroduced the potency and given us that crossover into telepathy so that we can speak to them on their level. Now, their language is far beyond our current capabilities. Issy told me when we first started speaking that I could not speak his language because my brain doesn't work at the same capacity that theirs does. I'm a baby. Great. I'm just like an infant. And so are all humans. But as we grow and mature and use our abilities, we will mature into full blown telepaths like them. And our brain functions will increase so that eventually we will be able to learn their language. Now, because of my circumstances, my ability to visualize internally was commandeered. So I lack that basic function for a time being. I will get that back at the proper time. But that was in order to limit my capabilities for all intents and purposes. Because I have been learning from the gray how to be a telepath, how to be an empath, how to be a healer, how to be a medium, how to be, and hopefully becoming telekinetic. Well, okay, that's one of those commandeered things. I have that ability, but it's just not. It's been borrowed, let's say. So I've been limited in my abilities here within me by these segments of my abilities that have been put aside to limit me because I'm a child and I don't yet have the maturity to deal with the full aspect of what I've been learning and what I'm going to be passing on to you. Now, we have been taught through our schools the very basics of their knowledge, the rudimentary form. Um, mathematics is one of those things that I don't have. I am not good with math at all. But I'm a musician. I do math on a different level, let's say, because that's the truth. Anyway, the priests of Zion are the telepathic pot smokers because marijuana contains the concentrated form of THC, an element that comes from the homeworld of the gray that gave us their DNA that can only be activated by pot. Now, just because you smoke pot doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be a priest of Zion or that you're going to be a telepath, because we each have innate abilities, and marijuana can only amplify that which you already have. So, Doug, my comedian friend, I'm sorry that you're not a telepath, but you're a comedian. You're an empath, and you use comedy in as strong a form of empathy as I use telepathy to speak to the gray. So you have abilities that are gray. They're just not telepathic. We each have our own unique abilities that we will learn, explore, and excel in when we get to Zion. So, each of us, when we get to Zion, to the camp, we will go through our testing. Now, in Zion, to be tested is like a special social event that people look forward to. In centuries down the line, and in the gray society, the testing of a child is a great day of honor because that child learns for the first time their true abilities, their talents, and therefore their options of a guild. And we will all go through that because some of us might have elements of a profession that we follow in our lifetime that is an element of our true ability. So some people who are electricians might find themselves to be telekinetics, and they will go into the priestly field of telekinetics. And instead of uh, wiring a house, they'll rewire an altered brain, healing the person who had damage from an accident. So we will all be tested, and it will be a great. Oh, I can't wait to be tested myself because I plan on being the first one to go through this test, and the testing will be done by the Gray when we get there. Now, we will do our own little form of testing in camp to determine our placement in guilds camps so that we can function as a society with our limited knowledge. But when the Gray arrive, they will test us. And the real testers that test the children of the Gray will have representatives in the contingency that comes. And they will test every single person in camp. Because just because you don't smoke marijuana doesn't mean that you aren't latently telepathic and therefore might want to try marijuana because you would be exploring a whole new part of your personality. So each person will come before the testers and they will be excited to do so because the possibilities will be endless. And even those who find themselves not to be talented enough for any grandiose thing will still learn their best professional choices so that they can find pleasure in their true talents. There are many very skilled, talented people in all diverse manner of fields, washing dishes, cooking at a restaurant, being a waitress, being a teller at a grocery store. Their talent's totally wasted because there's no system by which to judge these talents and to determine profession by talents. And so when we get to Zion, the priests of Zion will be chosen from among all the population who chooses to come forward to be tested. The, the, the tester will test you according to their abilities. You'll just stand in front of them. It's literally you'll stand in front of them. They'll test you, and then they'll tell you, well, you're eligible for this. You're eligible for that. Now that's all the time I have today, but we'll go on to it next time. Okay? So may the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. And may they teach you right from wrong. May you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your guild choice until we get tested. Then the Grey will tell you what your best choice would be. My name is Zion. If you use drugs, stay heavy and high. You have every right and reason to. You just might be a priest. I'm going to say later now. because I never say goodbye.